Welcome to Lash Sisters Unfiltered. This is the podcast where we keep it real about all things lashes and business. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned lash artist looking to level up, we are here for you to support you in your journey. There's no gatekeeping, no fluff, just real advice that actually helps you grow. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of the easiest ways to increase your income without adding more stress to your business, your body, and that is lash lifts. Now, if you've been looking for a way to work smarter, not harder, while attracting new clients and boosting your revenue, this episode is for you. So let's just get right into it. Usually also I present with my sister. This episode we are normally together, but she is currently in Mammoth skiing. So I'm going to be doing this episode by myself. Now, basically, why are lash lifts a game changer? So let's talk about it. The first thing that comes to mind, since we are very, very much into wellness and health, and I'm always thinking of ways to improve wellness and health, and I think it's really important to find a service that you can do not just for a year, not just for 2 years, not just for 5 years. It's important to find a service that you're going to be able to do long term. And although lash extensions can be that service, it is a little bit harder because of the strain that they put on your body, on your wrists, on your neck, on your back. And so with lash extensions, it is a little bit more challenging. But with lash lifts, the amazing part is that they are much easier on your body. And since most of the time that you're spending, you're actually just waiting for the solutions to process. The only part I would say with lash lifts where you're actually hunched over and you're like working on wrapping the lashes on the rods, that part can be a little bit stressful on your neck and your wrists, but it only lasts about 5 to 10 minutes, right? So it's not really that big of a deal. But then the rest of the time you're waiting for the products to take effect, you're cleaning up, you're placing the solution again, and then you're waiting again. So it's not so hard on your back. And then the great part is that it doesn't take as long as lash extensions. So for this reason, I think that lash lifts are really, really an awesome way to add extra revenue to your business. Now, another thing to consider is lash lifts are actually pretty fast, right? So they usually take anywhere between, I would say, 40 to 45 minutes to maybe an hour tops. And that's if you're also doing a tint. And so under an hour, you can easily perform this service. So I think that's why what makes it so great is that if you're doing like another service, such as like facials or brows, and you can add on this service, it just increases how much money the client is spending in your salon or with you as a service provider. So that's what's really nice. And the other thing that I really, really love is that it's a high demand service. So whenever a service is in very high demand, it automatically makes it much easier to sell, right? Because if clients are already looking for that service, they're just looking for someone in their area that does it really well and does it professionally and has good results. If you're that person, you're not going to have to convince anyone to get a lash lift. They're already looking for you. And so that's what makes it a really good service right now in 2025, same as it has in the previous year as well. In 2024, we've seen a really big increase in clients just really looking for that service. So if you look on Google Trends, which is like a website where you can see what local lash artists are looking for, or not lash artists, I'm sorry, local clients are looking for, you will be able to see how much lash lifts has grown in popularity, because you'll see how much the trends of searching for that keyword, which is like lash lifts or lash lamination, some people search it differently, how much it has actually increased over the years, and it's going to continue growing. So if you are actually interested in jumping on this trend, this is a really, really good time, because you're actually going to be ahead of the game, right? Before this industry becomes more saturated. I don't know about fully saturated, because that will take time, but before it becomes more saturated and the supply reaches the demand, it's better to get ahead of it, right? So clients already know the benefits of lash lifts. You don't really need to convince anyone. And then the great part is, when you're selling something people already want, it's a much easier sell, right? And then now another thing I always think about is the profit, right? So lash extensions also have a fairly good profit, but the problem with lash extensions is that they take 2 to 3 hours, and lash lifts take anywhere between, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour. So although time-wise you're spending much less time with lifts, so you're able to see more clients, or if you don't want to see more clients, you just want to work less and make roughly the same amount, then that's why lash lifts are really a good service to add to your menu as well. Another question that we get a lot from other lash artists is, they're worried that lash lifts will actually take away from their current clientele, which are like clients that come to get extensions. So they're worried that now that they're going to start offering lash lifts, the amount of the clients that get lash lifts are going to take away from the extension. So basically, those clients that get extensions are not going to be like, no, let me do a cheaper service, and now instead of paying, let's say, $180 for a mega volume set, they're now paying, let's say, $110 for a lash lift. And that's one of the reasons a lot of lash artists don't want to add lash lifts, because they think that it's actually going to decrease their revenue. But let me tell you, it couldn't be further from the truth, because generally the clients that will get lash lifts are not the same clients that get extensions, and vice versa. A client that wants mega volume is just not going to be the same client that wants a very subtle, very natural lash lift. Those services can overlap, yes. For example, in the case where, let's say, you have a client that gets volume lashes or classic, and now she wants to take a break because she's going on vacation for a month and a half, and she just wants a lash lift. So yes, it's possible, but generally clients that get extensions will continue to get extensions, and clients that get lash lifts, they will try lash lifts and they will continue getting those. Clients that get lash lifts will sometimes get extensions for maybe a wedding, and then they go back to lash lifts. Similarly, I have seen in a case where where a client got an allergic reaction from lash extensions, so then she was no longer able to wear lash extensions. So now her option was either no lashes and mascara, or a lash lift and tint. So she opted for a lash lift and tint, and now she's a regular client, and instead of coming for extensions, she comes for a lash lift and tint. But I think what's important to remember here is that if we did not offer lash lifts, this client would have gone somewhere else, okay? Or she just would have not, if she didn't want to look for another place, she might have just not continued. I mean, she would have just worn mascara. Depends how committed she was to actually finding someone that does lash lifts. Now, it's important to understand all of this because this is a service that is perfect for low maintenance clients. Not everyone wants to or can commit to lash extensions. Some clients have sensitivities, others prefer a more natural look, and some just really don't have time for the upkeep. So that's what it's important to understand, is that when you're building your marketing material towards clients that want lash lifts, you're going to speak to them very differently to clients that are looking to get lash extensions, because it's a different client avatar completely. They're totally different. And another thing to really also think about is if you offer other services such as facials or waxing or brows, and you want to add lash lifts, that's just going to increase the value, how much each customer brings to your business, which is always a really, really great thing, because then you can afford to spend more on better education for yourself or your staff, better more marketing to get more clients in, because obviously you have to look at the long-term customer value, which means that, for example, how much each customer brings to your business per year. Let's say they come every month, once a month for 12 months. That is $1,200 if you're charging $100 for a lash lift. So each client is worth $1,200, and that's provided that you're actually able to keep those clients. And retention is going to be really, really important here, because if you're not able to retain your clients, keep them, it doesn't matter how much money you invest into marketing, you're not going to be able to keep them anyways. So the best thing to do is first, obviously, learn a really good skill, such as either extensions or lash lifts or waxing or brow lifts. And then it's important to master it to the point where your clients are coming back, like you're able to keep at least 70 to 80% of your clients. And once you're able to do that, then you can spend more money in marketing, like Facebook ads or Google ads, and you're able to bring more clients in. And so if you just think about it, each client that you brought into your business, if they bring you $1,200, then you just need to bring in, let's say for simple math, 10 clients, and that will be $12,000. Now, if you bring in more, you're going to make more. So it's very simple math. But the whole point is that it's important to understand that if a client comes to you and they only pay you, let's say, $110 for a lash lift, and you paid $100 to Google to get that client in the door, that's okay, because if you're able to keep that client, and all your effort should really go into retention before even spending money on marketing, if you're able to keep that client, they will keep bringing money into your business. So it's better not to get fixated so much on the initial how much initially they bring in on their first appointment. That's why sometimes a lot of businesses are able to break even in the first visit that a client comes to see them, because they know that this client is going to keep coming back, and the value of this client is much higher than $110. Okay, so that's really, really important. Now, my final thoughts about lash lifts, why I think if you're not yet offering lash lifts, you need to start offering them, is obviously less strain on your body. So I think it's really important to work smarter, not harder, so that you're actually able to do this job long term, not just for a few years and then get burnt out. I also find that it's a service that is really, really in high demand. It's easy to sell, and clients are literally already looking for this service. So why not offer it, since it's what clients already want? And then I find it's also great because it allows you to make more money in less time. They're very profitable, usually, lash lifts, because you don't need that much supplies, you don't need that much equipment to perform them. You just need the knowledge, you need to be trained, and the confidence, and obviously you need some tools that are necessary, like rods and shields and like the solutions. But apart from that, it's not a very there's not a high barrier to entry, because you don't need that much stuff. And then it's also great for bundling with other services. So if you already offer different services, such as even extensions or facials, waxing, brow, PMU, it's a great service that's an add-on. And we all know that when a client trusts you, they're much more likely to go to you for a service than to look for another person, right? So if a client comes to get, let's say she comes to get a brow wax, and then she knows that you also offer lash lifts, then she is much more likely to come to you for that as well. Now, thank you so much for listening to Lash Sisters Unfiltered. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other lash artists that might find it helpful. And if you are interested and you want to get started with lash lifts, I'm hosting a free training on how to work with glue versus lash lift balm. It's going to be a full 1-hour class where I'm going to break down everything you need to know about the different glues, the different practices, and how to get the best results for your client. So it's a great place to start. If this is something that you've been thinking about, considering, I would strongly recommend that you check it out, because I'll be able to also answer a lot of questions and give additional information and go much more into depth about lash lifts. So once again, if you are interested in registering, I'll put the link in the show notes. So definitely don't miss out. And thank you again for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.